Hello there. Never mind that. Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. And we're on to the third film in the Pumpkinhead franchise. Pumpkinhead, Ashes to Ashes, Asses to Asses, which is the porn parody. No, I like me Pumpkin Tits, Asses to Asses. No, Pumpkinhead, Ashes to Ashes. All right, before I begin, I have to point this out. I made a joke in my review, the last review of the second Pumpkinhead movie, about how they should bring about, in the last film, Pumpkinhead went against Kane Hodder and R.A. Mihailoff, who were Jason and Leatherface at one point, right? I made a joke about they should bring in Robert Englund and Doug Bradley, so he can go against Freddy and Pinhead. Doug Bradley is in Pinhead. Doug Bradley is in Pumpkinhead 3. I kid you not. And I didn't even find it out by starting to watch this movie. No, I was watching the Movie Dumpster podcast, or listening to it actually, listening to the Movie Dumpster podcast, and they were talking about Pumpkinhead 2. And then it was one of them that mentioned Pumpkinhead 3 has Doug Bradley in it, and I went, what? You fucking serious? So I looked it up. And then to cross the T's and dot the I's, I looked up the fourth one. And I was absolutely fucking right about that one, too. It is a Hatfields and McCoy, and not in a way that you would think. Now, like they did with Survival of the Dead, like I said, it's literally, from what I looked at, what I was reading, it's literally the Hatfields and the McCoys. I'm not going to enjoy watching that one. Much like this one. While the second one went in a completely different way, with a completely new story, unconnected to that. The first, this one goes back and connects to the first, hence why there's no 3 in the title, because it's a direct sequel to the first one. And it's made for TV quality from the Sci-Fi Channel. That being said, Pumpkinhead does look good, although there's way too many times and you can tell he's being played by a little person. Yeah. Such as in the first scene of the movie, where it's in Bunt's dream. Yes, Bunt is back, although he's played by a different actor, and literally looks nothing like Brian Bremer, and I could not imagine any scenario in which Brian Bremer's version of a character could grow up into this fuck nugget. Okay? This guy is a dumbass. He's stupid. I know that they're like hicks and stuff, right? The country folk. But Bunt was one of the smart ones. And you dumbed him down for this movie. It's, I would have welcomed Bunt to come back. But even if Brian Bremer is not acting, is not coming back, get someone else. This is cheaply made. It's one of those things where we're going to go to Romania because of the tax break. And we're going to film there and use Romanian people, basically, and Doug Bradley. And Gary J. Tunnicliffe is doing the effects, which is probably why the effects look pretty good. And probably how they got Pinhead, too. Or Doug Bradley. Also, Lance Henriksen is back as Ed Harley. And it makes no fucking sense. Except for the transformation scene into Pinhead, it does make sense. But Bunt is haunted by Ed Harley the entire film. Even before Pumpkinhead. I say Pumpkinhead, not Pinhead. Pumpkinhead. Even before Pumpkinhead is brought back. So it really doesn't make much sense. Like, Bunt is seeing the ghost of Ed Harley. I don't know. And the plot to get... You don't know why they bring back Pumpkinhead. Doug Bradley's in this, but I'm going to keep saying Pinhead. Pumpkinhead. The movie is called goddamn Pumpkinhead. You know why these people bring back Pumpkinhead? It's 4 people, which even makes it more confusing. And they bring him back because these people, the Wallace family, Bunt and his cousins, have been burying bodies instead of uh, burning them to get rid of them, and I'm cremating. That's the word. And that is the reason. I thought it was because, they're killing people and getting rid of the bodies, but I don't know. It's just because they. But the explanation we find out later is that the furnace for cremating is broken. They're also selling organs on the black market, which you can't do with corpses, but still. I don't know this movie. Like I said, we start off with the dream sequence. Bunt is wearing the necklace, although when he wakes up he's not wearing it, so it's just part of the dream, I guess. And being chased by Pumpkinhead, which, like I said, looks like a little man in a suit. That's what it looks like. And they keep shooting it from angles to make it look, unless they have multiple, but that just looks like it's a little, I don't know. And then Bunt wakes up, and this guy wakes up, and you got Doug Bradley like, Bunt! And I'm like, no. This is Bunt? Really? Sure. We'll go with that. That's Bunt. Alright, fine. And then, they're having them dispose of bodies in the woods. And they're just putting them in holes in the woods. They're not covering up the holes. They put them in puddles, stuff. And I don't know. Later, you see people going to the woods and there's like bones sticking onto the ground. Which means they've been there for a while. They've decomposed to that point. And I'm just thinking, does nobody go in the fucking woods and sees this? They come across this random ass hiker who I wrongfully assumed was going to be the main character of this movie, because he shows up, he's got his dog, and he investigates, or he sees Bunt dragging a dead body, so he goes and he finds the nearest place, which happens to be the crematorium, and he happens upon them harvesting skin. Neck skin. They can give you cover your nose or something. I don't know. And then he dies, and he's not even a character. I thought he was going to be. The only thing he serves is for Molly Sue, who is actually the main character of this movie, to find him, and that's where they discover, and apparently, so it's very frustrating. I've said this before. You know what? So when Molly Sue finds this guy, she goes to the sheriff and she tells him what's going on. He doesn't hear, oh, is that another one of your crazy stories, Molly Sue? And you're sitting there and you're going, what crazy stories? This is the first time we're seeing this character. There's no connection to this character. We're supposed to think. And then there's a whole thing about, oh, she was saying crazy things before, and then apparently her child was taken. That would kind of be important backstory that they just kind of, yeah. Like her child was taken and they said she was crazy. So no, they were definitely killing people and hiding the bodies. It's so fucking frustrating. So fucking frustrating. I don't know what to. So because of this, 4 of them, Molly Sue, another guy, Ellie, and another guy, they go to see Haggis, who, okay, so this first thing is frustrating to me is they go through the woods trying to find bodies, and one of the guy comes across the pumpkin patch, which looks just like it did in the first one. This guy has no reason to be looking here, but he goes up to the top and he finds Ed Harley's body. There was no reason for him to dig in there, but he does. Haggis shows up. The only reason it happens so the Haggis can show up and they can remember about the folklore of she can, get vengeance for people. So they go to see her, and all four of them. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate with this. So you know how when Ed Harley got his, stabs him there, get a little blood come out. No, she's doing this. She's like that. She's doing like that, and I'm just like, that's gonna sever a nerve or something. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. She was all four of them too, and they're perfectly fine afterward. And then they fuck up how it works. In the original, whenever Pumpkinhead killed someone, Ed Harley would see that and would feel a sensation when it happened. Here, they're not only are they seeing the death, but they're feeling the pain of someone dying, which actually, could make sense because it is kind of your penance for causing pain of someone else. You're feeling their pain, but you're out for vengeance. This is not, And okay, so the thing is, it's like 25 minutes. It's 20 minutes before anything related to Pinhead happens. It's 25 minutes before Pinhead is summoned. The summoning of Pinhead looks pretty good. Again, Gary J. Tunnicliffe, very good. And the body actually reincarnates into Ed Harley and then transforms into Pumpkinhead. It looks fantastic. Why Bunt is still seeing the ghost of Ed Harley when his Pumpkinhead is beyond me. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why he's still seeing the ghost of Ed Harley if Ed Harley is Pumpkinhead. It doesn't make any sense. But it gets even more frustrating for me. So Molly Sue, like I said, is our main character. We're following her throughout this. And then for some reason they decide to kill her off and switch her around with Ellie, who we barely had any interaction with until the latter half of this film. That Bunt and Molly Sue's husband, whatever the fuck his name is, get the oven working again to cremate. And they think cremating all the bodies is what is going to stop it. Bunt knows how to stop it. Right? Bunt knows how to stop it. It has to kill every single person that it's out for vengeance for, or all the people who summon it have to die. The problem here is that Doug Bradley kills Molly Sue, who should have been the final girl here, and she's not. And so, there was one CGI shot of when he's standing in the church with the fire, but... So the final act, Ellie sacrifices herself by throwing herself into the furnace, basically. And it burns Pumpkinhead up. In a horrible CGI look, it turns into Ed Harley. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? And then it just disappears. Right? And then the cops show up and arrest Molly Sue's husband and Bunt because they think they're responsible for this. Which is why Bunt's not in the next one. But he kind of should be because it was shot back to back. But anyway, and then Haggis takes a rumpled corpse back to the pumpkin patch, and it's Ellie's corpse. Why? Molly Sue was the one who started this whole thing. Molly Sue should have been the one that finished it. It makes no sense that Ellie is the one that finished it. Ellie should have been, as Taz would say, just another victim. And Molly Sue should have been the one to realize, what have I done? This is my fault. I summoned this, and jumped her ass into the fire. It makes no sense that Molly Sue was killed off unceremoniously by Pinhead. You know what I mean? Just so then we get Ellie, who, again, we barely had any interaction with in this film other than a couple of scenes. Apparently she and Molly Sue's husband were doing something. I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to say this is not worth your time. It's just, watch the first two. At least the first two is like enjoyable to a point. There's got some goofiness to it. This, I have no hopes for the fourth one. None at all. I have nothing. Oh, boy. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on Pumpkinhead Ashes to Ashes? In the comments, so much you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.